Your live, Scott.
We're live? Okay.
Scott Reisch.
Apparently we are live now. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It is November 19th, and it is about 12:50. Sorry for the late start. We had a little technical issue here. Not exactly sure what happened, but we are here now. So I was in the courtroom today when Mr. Christopher Watts was sentenced. And it was a pretty somber mood in the courtroom. There was also an overflow courtroom in there as well. And for those who don't know, he had 9 counts of which he was being sentenced upon. And on count 1, for the death of Shanann, he received life without parole. Count 2 and 3 for his daughters was life without parole. Count 4 and 5, which basically is a different theory of first-degree murder, one for each of his daughters. Life without parole, but that was concurrent. And then the termination of the pregnancy, the judge gave him 48 years. And then on the 3 other counts for disposing of a body, he received 12 years. So he received 4 life sentences plus 48 years. So needless to say, he is never getting out. He will be in prison forever. But let's talk a little bit about the sentencing. We learned some new details that were not previously known before and that were kept somewhat secret. A lot of it came out when Mr. Rourke, he is the elected district attorney and was the chief attorney handling this particular case. He described, well, first of all, he provided some 21 photos of both the kids and Shanann to the court so that the judge can see the photos. And first, the father of Shanann spoke, and he got up there basically saying that Shanann loved her life, and that Mr. Watts was a complete heartless, evil monster. And I'm summarizing, but I took pretty copious notes, and basically couldn't believe that he being Mr. Watts, could actually kill his own children, which I think everyone was obviously shocked by this case, and that's probably why it received so much notoriety. But he referred to him as a heartless monster, and basically, you took people that were good to you, and you've taken their life, and he said he hopes that the court would have no mercy on you, and referred to him as an evil monster yet again. Then the mother of Shanann spoke, and she was very eloquent, and basically, asked that everyone say a prayer, thanked all law enforcement people, and basically was very appreciative, and stated that she did not want any more killing, which is why she begged the district attorney for a life without parole versus the death penalty case. Shanann's brother also spoke briefly. He could not read his statement on his own, so the district attorney read the statement for him. Then Mr. Rourke spoke. And like I said, he's the elected DA up there. I actually have had cases with Mr. Rourke when he used to be a deputy district attorney down in Arapahoe County years ago, and he's been up there for probably at least the last decade as the deputy and then the elected DA. And he went through some of the details, which we all think, well, I suspected, but I didn't want to comment on it because we didn't know whether everyone was, in fact, how they died, cause of death. And it came out that Shanann was strangled, and the district attorney described that their experts would have basically stated that it takes 2 to 4, which is, I'm completely comfortable with that. I've had experts say that it takes 3 to 5 minutes to actually strangle someone. Someone can pass out much faster than that, but to actually kill somebody, and to think about it, he admitted to strangling his wife, the mother of his children, the mother of his unborn child, and it takes 3 to 5 minutes. That is the classic definition of after deliberation. And then the new information that we learned, and although we suspected it, that's what I suspected, because there was no indication of any sort of foul play or bludgeoning or anything along those lines, but we learned that the children were basically suffocated. I'm assuming via a pillow, and then the district attorney went through basically what we'll find out when we get a copy of the autopsy, which we were told that we should have released within 24 hours from his sentencing. And, basically, let me jump to my notes here so I make sure I get it right, is that Bella fought. Basically, they were talking about the bite marks and some injuries in her mouth, that it was clear that their experts would have testified that she fought and struggled. And can you imagine a
4-year-old waking up in the middle of the night when your dad is suffocating you with a pillow and you fight? And once again, suffocation, assuming it's by a pillow, we don't have that exact, but that's probably what happened. Hopefully it didn't strangle. I think they indicated there was no injuries that would indicate anything along those lines. So you have a 4-year-old, and then Bella fought. Then we have Celeste, 3 years old. No indication that she fought. Probably didn't know what was going on, and probably by this time, assuming Mr. Watts had already killed his wife, and then his 4-year-old by the third, he was figured it out, so to speak, which is absolutely terrible and heinous. And then the district attorney described how he methodically and calmly carried each of the bodies back to his car. He had backed up his work truck and loaded the bodies in, and this was available through the neighbors' cameras that were available by their house for their security cameras. The district attorney also described how they knew exactly what time Shanann had arrived home based upon their Ring doorbell that they had there. And that was, the details were somewhat disturbing as they were described, and obviously that's absolutely terrible. But then Mr. Rourke then described the final callousness of Mr. Watts' acts, is that he takes his wife, puts her in a shallow grave near this oil tank battery for the job that he had worked. And the district attorney also described that his text messages, he had received a text message from an employee about going out there and taking care of some things at this tank battery, and he responded back, no, I'll take care of it. I'll be out there early, or words to that effect. And then, so he puts Shanann in a shallow grave, and then he puts Bella and Celeste in different tanks, these oil tank batteries. And the latch that is there is only 8 inches in diameter. So think about that. And they know through collection of crime scene evidence there that Bella had scratches apparently on her buttocks from being pushed into that tiny little hole, her tiny little body being squished in there. And additionally, they found hair along the top of the tank battery where this young child was shoved in there to, basically be hidden, because her father, is absolutely, he did a heinous thing. And apparently he did give his statement to the police, and he thought that the tanks were at different levels because of the sound that the bodies made when he pushed them in, different levels of oil in Bella and Celeste, the tanks that they were put into. And I think what was also very interesting is that Mr. Watts' parents both spoke, and they had their attorney there for them because the attorney had requested to basically file an entry of appearance or be able to make a statement to the court for sentencing. And there's been some talk, and Mr. Watts' mother had gone on a lot of news outlets and was very concerned that maybe her son didn't have the right information. Did he know what he was doing? They haven't had any contact, anything along those lines. Can barely hear you on the audio. is what I got a comment here. Let me see if we can turn something up. It says you can barely hear.
Well, others are saying it's good, so I don't know.
Well, let me see.
Tell them to turn their volume up.
Audio on left ear. Well, they're hearing everything you're saying, Mike. So let's try to fix it, whatever it is. I'll speak closer here. It says audio is fine. Okay. So anyway, Mr. Watts' mother spoke to the court, and it was also indicated through the Watts attorney that they were able to speak with the district attorneys over the weekend through the victim advocate and apparently receive the answers that they were searching for, that it was in fact Mr. Watts who had asked his attorney to go to them to seek out a plea bargain, and they seemed very content with what had taken place as far as the plea disposition. There was no indication whatsoever that they wanted Mr. Watts to attempt to withdraw his guilty plea. There was no indication anything other than, we love you, but we cannot imagine why you would do such a thing to kill their grandchildren, your own children, and then ultimately basically ask that he make a confession and tell everyone what he did, how he did it. And remember, this is coming from his parents, so apparently their concerns were satisfied. And it was emotional, but I think both people clearly were, both parents were just, they almost looked like they were in a shock that how did they get here? They didn't raise their son to be this way. And the dad did say, I'm not condoning anything that you did, but it's, but that he still loves him. So the parents are still there for Mr. Watts and can't explain it. And so ultimately the defense could present any evidence that they could have for sentencing, for mitigation, but frankly, it did not matter because everyone knew what his sentence was going to be. So the defense presented no evidence. His defense attorney, Mr. Watts' defense attorney, got up and briefly spoke and said that he's sorry, and hopefully, basically, people will forgive him someday. And the question's going to be, I mean, his parents have forgiven him. It sounds like Shanann's mother has forgiven him in the sense of a religious aspect of it. The father and the brother of Shanann clearly have not forgiven Mr. Watts, but who could you? This is your daughter, your sister, your grandchildren, your nieces, and absolutely is ridiculous. One more thing that the judge did, or I'm sorry, Mr. Rourke, the district attorney, did talk about was basically these two different conversations that were basically going on during this time, because the district attorney discussed the fact that when Shanann arrived home, and according to Mr. Watts, he had an emotional conversation with Shanann, and that's when he wound up strangling her and then ultimately disposing of the bodies. And one must presume that he obviously killed the children either before or after that, but no one really knows for sure. And unless he tells us, we probably never, ever will. But apparently Shanann knew that there were issues in the marriage, and she was sending basically self-help books. What can we do to make our relationship better and things of that nature? And at the meantime, he's texting or making searches on his phone, because they can obviously see the searches when they access his phone and computers at home, that he's making arrangements to have rendezvous with his girlfriend, who obviously spoke out last week, who basically said she was the one that went to the police with this information, and that she did, kind of the Good Samaritan thing. Once she was concerned by Mr. Watts' lack of concern for his daughters and his wife being gone. And so there was not a whole lot of talk to her. Specifically, Shanann's mother thanked law enforcement, but the girlfriend's name was not included in the thanking of that. And obviously one would love to have been a fly on the wall during some of those conversations. Apparently they being Mr. Watts and his girlfriend, took a trip down to the Great Sand Dunes while Shanann was back east with her family and the girls. And I would love to be a fly on the wall to know what that pillow talk was about that time. You know, the district attorney summed it up rather clearly. If you wanted a fresh start, if you wanted a new start, you wanted to go be with somebody else, then get a divorce. You don't go kill your wife and your 2 children and your unborn child. It's absolutely unfathomable what he did and why he did it. And obviously, Mr. Watts made no statement himself other than what he made through his counsel. And, that was it. There's nothing to be said as it relates to what Mr. Watts said, unless he's going to someday come forward with the truth and explain to everybody, what was he thinking? Why did he do this? I mean, he's not going anywhere. He'll be taken to DOC rather quickly, and he will literally rot in the Department of Corrections. Now, what we can do is also, since we're live, let's take any questions that you all have. I know a lot of people have been making lots of comments. For example, here's one. Why did he call school? So apparently Mr. Watts is, after everything is going on, his family's supposedly gone, he's making arrangements. He calls the school to let them know that his kids won't be coming to school anymore. I guess he's going to be homeschooling them or something along those lines. He's talking with a realtor as well to put the house up on the market. Hardly the actions of a grieving husband and father of, your missing wife and children. So this guy really thought that he was going to get away with it. I mean, he really thought if he just went along with everything, faked it, no one was going to ask any questions. So I don't know what was going through his head before he murdered, completely annihilated his family, or what was even more interesting is what was going in his head afterwards, because he actually thought at some point that this is going to work. He's going to get away with it. He's contacting the school saying the kids won't be showing up anymore. Did you think the neighbors, did you think your wife's friends weren't going to wonder what was going on? This is absolutely crazy. That this guy thought he could get away with it. Now, he ultimately did confess to killing his wife, but wow. I mean, it's children. As a father, I could not imagine what you could do. I mean, throughout nature, parents, their only job is to take care of their children, to protect them, and to actually kill your own children. It's unbelievable. It's unfathomable. Mr. Watts is not going to have a good time there. So he did talk. Wait, let's see if we can see any more comments here or questions. Do you believe this final plea, Scott? Yes, it's done deal. There's no way he's taking it back, and there's no way that it's going to be done. And it also, as we talked about earlier, his parents seem to be rather content with the information that was presented to them to satisfy them of his guilt as well. So don't foresee anything along those lines. And I know there was a lot of people on here on the comments that wanted to know why I wouldn't take Mr. Watts' case. And all I can tell you is I had been contacted, but nobody could come up with the retainer that was necessary. And a lot of people are like, well, why don't you do it pro bono, Scott? Well, I assure you, everyone is entitled to a defense, but I also have many employees here that require paychecks, and a case like this would be a full-time job, and I simply cannot do it. And fame and notoriety is not something that pays the bills at all just because you're representing probably the most hated man in America right now, Mr. Watts. And it's crazy. Now, question here, can you please clear up this people back everything up he said in court today with actually evidence? Listen, what the prosecutor said in court, I have no reason to not believe him. I know Mr. Rourke, it's been some time since we've dealt personally on a case together, but he is a credible man, and if what he said in court today, I have no reason to doubt that that is true. I have no reason to doubt that that's not exactly what he believes took place. There's no reason to doubt that. He could not make a statement like that if he didn't have something to back it up. The autopsy report, we have been waiting for that. There was a hearing scheduled later in the week. The coroner said that they would release it some 24 hours after he had pled guilty. Additionally, I have ordered the transcript of his actual guilty plea because I want to see and make sure exactly what he said. The media was not there, and frankly, I don't think if they knew what they were looking for. But Mr. Watts was not allowed to waive a factual basis on his plea. So I'm curious, when the district attorney described what happened, what he said, if anything, other than he agrees or anything along those lines. So that may provide further insight because the media was not permitted, at least expanded video coverage. There were some questions regarding the Shanann, whether she fought. And, there was a lot of people that speculate. And what we try to do here on Crime Talk was not to speculate on stuff that we had nothing to know about. I saw some stuff the other day on YouTube where they said that she was beat up and so badly bruised and things of that nature. There really wasn't. Mr. Rourke said today the only injury was some bruises on her neck, which, once again, that would be consistent with being strangled. But, people were speculating all over everything, and that's what we try to do here. We'll talk about a case. We'll try to give you what may be going on, but we'll tell you if we don't know. And I think it's very clear that we didn't know, and I tried to hold stuff back. People were commenting throughout the videos over the last several weeks, what about this? And my response to a lot of them were, I don't know yet. And if I don't know or have at least some good faith basis for it, we're not going to say something. Let's see. Did it surprise you that the defense said nothing in mitigation? No, not really. It doesn't surprise me that he didn't say much because what is there to say? He's pled guilty. He basically said, I'm sorry, which is really about all he could ever say, unless he was going to clear up the fact that, did the children die before or after Shanann? That's really the only thing. He has admitted to it. He has pled guilty to the children. It's done. It's over. So that's really the only thing that is kind of the mystery. What happened to the children? Not what. We know exactly what. They were suffocated, but when did it happen? Was it before or after Shanann had arrived home from her business meeting about 1:40 that morning? Question, was the girlfriend in court? No, I did not see her there. It's possible, but I did not see her standing there. How come the judge didn't address the other charges, just life in prison? The judge did address the other charges. Counts 1, 2, and 3 were first-degree murder. Counts 4 and 5 were the death of the children, but it's a different theory, which was basically he killed him and he was in a position of trust. Those were run concurrent with count 2 and 3. Termination of pregnancy got the 48 years, and the disposal of the body, maximum sentence 12 years on each of those counts, consecutive with each other, and all other counts. So he received 4 life sentences plus another 84 years. I could not tell if Mr. Watts had been emotional from where I was seated as it relates to any comments made by his parents. It looked like there was some shaking and things like that, but okay. From my vantage point where I was behind him, I couldn't see any tears, but it's my understanding that there were. And let's see here. Fought instinctively. Yes, went for an hour. Lane, what is the text? Oh, the text messages. When let's see. When will the evidence be released? That's a good question. When will any of the evidence be released? Normally none of that information is available until after the case is done, and that's obviously what the district attorney tried to do. And so now it's going to be interesting to see what they will release. I will make a request for it just to see that we can comment on what he what really happened, to see if we can't figure it out in greater detail. But bottom line is, the case is over. We should be getting the autopsy report. And like I said, unless Mr. Watts wants to tell us exactly what order this case happened in, it really doesn't matter. Melanie S. Wonder what really was going through his mind before, during, and after. You really have to wonder. I mean, people, let's face it, people get divorced all the time these days. What is it, 50, 60% of most marriages end in divorce? Just get a divorce. Really? I mean, I guess, they had financial issues. So what? You file for bankruptcy. You make deals with the creditors. You don't. It's just simply not a rational thing to do, where someone is going to kill your wife and children, and knowing that your wife is pregnant. Kathy in Ohio, his parents did in fact make a statement. And, like I said, they really wanted him to basically make a confession, tell everybody all the details of what has happened. Chris A., Howard, who gets to live well? The mother of his children, they're dead. Yep, that's it. And as you remember, the death penalty was taken off the table. It was Shanann's parents that did not want the district attorney to pursue the death penalty. Based upon their comments, they seem like very religious people. I don't know what they, I'm assuming they were, based upon some of their comments and their quotes to the Bible. And they said that they didn't believe in taking of another human life. So, I guess kudos off to them. I think they wanted it over, and now hopefully they can move on and have peace. It's very, I could not imagine being that. And I've been in the courtroom on the other side for many years, and you try to empathize with the loss of a life, but to lose your daughter and your two grandchildren all at once, and know there was another one on the way. It's just, I couldn't even imagine. Let's see, autopsy, like I said, 24 hours from today. Yes, the district attorney did state that based upon what they believe, based upon the physical evidence, that Bella put up a fight, that, there were bites, marks in her tongue, and, it's just, I mean, like I said, a little child. Let's see, Pascal, Watts' mom seemed very sincere. Thoughts? And Pascal did that on a super chat. So if you want to highlight your message, so we make sure we get it here, because they're rolling by pretty fast, is that you can do a super chat. I believe his mom seemed very sincere. And I won't go into any of my conversations with Mrs. Watts, but I can tell you that we have spoken, and she seemed very calm and somewhat at peace based upon her demeanor in the courtroom today. She appeared to have her questions answered. I think she's in shock. This is my speculation, and I'll tell you when I'm speculating. But I'm speculating that they met with the district attorney, and they showed them things that satisfied them, that they didn't get the wrong guy, that somebody else didn't do it. And I think it's very unlikely that Shanann, who apparently was sending these self-help books, marriage counseling books, things to try and make their marriage work, very unlikely that she would, kill the children. Is it possible? Possibly, I guess, but we'll never know unless we do that. Let's see here. Lovely fan. People need to stop bashing them. Yeah, everybody, should be polite and respectful to all people. And, we have the court of public opinion, so to speak, where people, there's a lot of keyboard warriors out there that it's easy to slam other people. It's a lot more difficult when you do it to somebody's face. And that's why I do love when people have to go to court, because I've dealt with some real jerk attorneys over the years, mostly civil attorneys. They just seem to do that. And they can sit behind that keyboard and really just bash everybody. And then when you go to court, it's like, are you going to say that to my face now? No, they won't do it. They won't do it in front of the judge either, but they think they can get away with it. And, if you noticed in court, these proceedings, it's very orderly. That's the way it should be. The judge said, these are the rules. Prosecution's going to go first. Present your evidence. Defense, you can present your evidence. Then he said that the Watts family could also speak. And then argument was going to be made. No one was talking over each other. No one was interrupting. That's the way court is run. That's why these proceedings are done respectfully. And people, their comments, whether it's here or anywhere on the internet, I mean, these parents didn't kill anybody. These parents on either side didn't expect their worlds to be turned upside down, to be thrown into the limelight. Their son did a horrible, horrible thing, and they acknowledged that today. And, you know, hopefully, I couldn't see it, but hopefully the family, either now or in the future, you know, will be able to sit there and, you know, just in shock and horror and, you know, maybe have a hug. I don't know. But hopefully they can get over that. And, you know, but none of the families did anything. The only one that should be being badmouthed in this particular situation is Mr. Watts. You know, there were a lot of adjectives to describe him today. You know, monster, evil, which, you know, frankly fit the bill when you consider what he was being sentenced for today. I understand. Chris's parents did talk terrible about Shanann this past weekend, but you know what? And hopefully they will apologize. But today was one of reconciliation, and there was no bad mouthing what went on. In fact, the Watts attorney, when she spoke, thanked everybody involved, thanked the Shanann's family, and let them know they appreciate that. They appreciate the community and what has taken place. Now the community doesn't have to deal with, you know, this case, subsidize the expense of it, and everything like that. So, like I said, I'd love to be a fly on the wall during that meeting as well, be with the Watts family and the district attorney, simply because something was said that they were satisfied. There was no, we're blaming anybody other than our son. So that's the way it is, and that's the way court is supposed to be. And like I said, we can all have our disagreements, but we can should be able to do it respectfully and make sure that everyone's opinion is a whole. That's just one, being professional, and frankly, it's just common courtesy. It doesn't hurt to be nice. You can agree to disagree. Question, will he remain on suicide watch? I don't know. I'm not sure of his current status right now, but obviously there's no indication that he's going to do it. If he's going to commit suicide, he's probably going to do it when he believes that, or the sheriffs or the officers of the Department of Correction will believe that he is safe, and then he'll do it when basically we're not looking. Another super chat here. What are the chances of confession tape release? It's possible. We should be able to get a copy of that. We're going to make the request under the Open Records Act, and hopefully we can get that. Can I get some? Let's see here. Blue motive was getting out of alimony and child support. You know, Ann, appreciate your comment. We will never, ever, ever know what Mr. Watts was thinking unless he tells us. I just to get out of alimony. I mean, you can always make more money. You can go get another job. It's part of life. You know, if anyone's ever gone through a divorce, I can tell you, I've gone through divorce, and never did I ever think of killing anyone. It's just, I can't imagine how he got there. You know, what was there something put in his head? Was he so infatuated with his new girlfriend that he, you know, thought this was the only way she was going to be with him? I mean, sound like she thought that she represented that she didn't know that he was still married. She thought the divorce was just about final, and everything was going to be fine. So I doubt that she was putting something in his head, you know, to do this. I think this was all on him, and I just simply cannot imagine why he was doing that. Would have been, you know, an interesting case to see play out in court, absolutely, but I think for everyone involved, this is just such a tragedy when you're talking about small children, innocent children. That's probably best for everyone. Let's see, I was going through a divorce now. See the truth. Welcome to the stairs, killing him. I get professional help. Yeah. It looks like Amy Rose. Yeah, if you said you had gone through a divorce and you ever thought about walking down the stairs and killing your husband, you would seek professional help. Absolutely. I mean, like I said, who knows what was going through his mind, but, do you think he was insane or something along those lines? I don't think so. He was thinking too clearly right afterwards. Too much consciousness of guilt, loading methodically these babies, his wife, into his work truck, taking him out of the truck, carrying them up the ladder well to get to that tank hatch. I mean, at some point, you have to think, what have I done? He was just simply trying to get away with it, and he was trying to lie about it. And, looks like here, Alberta Hummel, he's a covert narcissist. Can't necessarily disagree because he thought he was going to be able to fool everyone. Yeah, he pled guilty. There was a question, people are still blaming Shanann. No, Mr. Watts pled guilty to killing his wife and his 2 children, Bella and Celeste, and and terminating the pregnancy of his unborn child. He has pled guilty. When you plead guilty, you admit as a matter of law and as a matter of fact. That's what happened. That's what he did. No doubt about it. It's over. Okay? People can speculate. People can do what they want to do, but he has admitted to that, and he will forever be known as the man who killed his wife and 2 children. The decision to go to the oil tanks had to be premeditated. Tracy J. Absolutely. I mean, obviously he was thinking about it when, apparently there was a comment today by Mr. Rourke that somebody came out of, or a coworker texted Mr. Watts about either meeting or some work that had to be done, and he said he was going to take care of it and that he was going to do it. So he clearly had some sort of plan. Now, whether that was it or he panicked or did whatever, who knows exactly, but the reality of the situation is he did it. He did it. He admitted to it. And I guess that's the only redeeming factor that you could have for Mr. Watts is that he accepted responsibility, but that's it. And the fact that he originally lied, saying that his wife killed the children, once again, his plan to supposedly get away with it. He thought he could lie about it again. Yeah, looks like Dare to Be Different one. He was so underwhelmed by the pregnancy announcement. Yeah, the videos that showed him. Yeah, he didn't look particularly excited about the child. He already had financial issues. He had 2 young children. Gee, great, another one. I think it just overwhelmed him. But you know what? That's no excuse. People, it's called life. People deal with diversity, circumstance of life every day, and they don't go out and kill their wife and 2 children because it gets too tough. Like I said, I feel sorry for his parents. I'm sure they didn't raise him that way. They seem like good people, worked hard, never been in trouble. Mr. Watts has never been in trouble. So something changed in Mr. Watts, something did whatever, but he's the one that's responsible for it. There's no excuse. He did it. He got a break by, basically not getting away with it. Because I think, I don't know, maybe he doesn't have a soul. Maybe it wouldn't have bothered him if he had just kept going on like nothing else. So let's see some more questions here. Brittany, from what I understood, he was the one wanting to have another baby. Who knows? We'll never know unless he actually comes out and does an interview somewhere along the line. But you just never know. That video didn't seem like he was too excited for sure. Kelly, I think he was cheating the day he showed up with the wife with the pregnancy test. Well, I think if we look at the dates, could be possible. It could be possible. Let's see. He's lucky to be alive. He's no genius, that's for sure. Absolutely. And I think I've mentioned this before on the videos that we've done. It's always the defendant's own words that will ultimately get them in the end. And, it sounds like the text messages completely were evidence used against him, and it was inconsistent with what he was telling the police, and it showed his consciousness of guilt. So anyway, let's see here. Nancy Eileen, can those videos be taken down for respect of the family? They were put out there in the public domain. I'm not sure about that. I'm sure somebody could sue, but you can sue anyone for anything. It's whether you're going to win or not. But I think they're out there, and hopefully, this will subside and it'll go away. But it really doesn't matter. Shanann has had her name restored, so to speak, simply because he pled guilty to the murdering of the two children. And so he's going to be the one that do it. I think people can speculate that she did it, but I think that we'd be hard-pressed to press that theory too much at this point, given his guilty plea. Let's see here. General population or isolation? Well, when he goes to thanks, BB Ramirez. If he goes to general population, I don't think he's going to have a fun time. There's a hierarchy in jail, and people that kill small children and women is very low on that totem pole, so he's going to have a rough time. He can ask to be put in protective custody for a while, but you really can't stay there forever. And as soon as he gets out, people will know who he is and what he did. And so I'm assuming he's going to have not a fun time. And I'm going to guess, if I were the betting man, and I don't wish anything ill upon anyone, but the pain and the fear that his wife and his children must have felt when they were being suffocated and strangled, that he's going to have some experience of that fear and possibly even, some of that pain as well, which, like I said, I'm not wishing that upon anybody. I wouldn't do that, but I'm a realist. So let's see here. Joan, do you think he'll take his own life? Who knows? Who knows? I think it's going to be, we'll see. I think it depends on how his first known experience when he gets to the Department of Corrections, whether he thinks this is living, if this is as good as it's going to get, and whether he says he can do it or not. And so we'll just have to see here. A lot of the comments are simply, for the family, it is sad. Scott, did he mention any other motives? No, the district attorney's theory was, based upon what he said today in court, was simply that Chris Watts wanted a new start. He wanted to get everybody. And he wanted a new start and get rid of it, and that was the only way to do it. So I don't know if that was evil thinking, simplistic thinking, just absolutely stupid thinking. But for him to think he was going to get away with it, crazy. Natalie Padilla, what prison? He'll probably be transported tomorrow to what they call the Regional Diagnostic Center here in Denver. And then the Department of Corrections will try to figure out where they can put him. They do have a duty to make sure he is safe and that nobody does anything to him. He's never getting out, so they're not going to be concerned of whether he needs any educational training or experience or rehabilitation, because it really doesn't matter. He's going to be there until he dies. And then the question is, which facility will he go to? He'll go to more likely maximum security prison based upon all the charges that he has. First, what comes to mind is that he'll probably go to Lyman, or he will go somewhere down in Canyon City, whereby it'll not be a fun time. Rocky Mountain High, simplistic and stupid is right. Yes. I just don't understand his thinking. Andrea, do you think Thrive made him unbalanced? I don't think that had anything to do with it at all. I think this was a man who simply, for whatever reason, did not like his life, and he thought it was somehow was going to get better if he killed his family and was going to be able to start anew. But like I said, I think it's very either stupid or simplistic timing to think that he was actually going to get away with it. That no one was going to think, oh my gosh, where are the kids? That's so odd. Where'd they go? People will be looking for him. So, too far away? Put down. All right, sorry. I think we'll try to do that. Let's see here. Yes, premeditated for sure, no doubt in my mind at this point. Do you think Thrive? I don't know anything about Thrive, but I don't think it's going to do anything to cause anybody to go completely unhinged and kill everybody. No. Let's see. He might try to kill himself, possibly. Yeah, I think it's stupid. I appreciate you all thanking me for commenting on this. I appreciate that. If you like the channel, please subscribe. Please like. Really appreciate the momentum and the response to this, and we're going to keep it up, discussing other cases, because the reason we started this was simply for the fact that it frustrated me that when you watch the evening news, they put somebody up there talking about a case, and what happened, or what the reporter said put on the news, was not what took place in the courtroom at all. And so it just frustrated me. And then there was basically little or no analysis whatsoever, or what was given was absolute complete speculation and not grounded in any sort of evidence or fact in any way. Let's see here. Do you think the children were killed before Shanann got home? My estimation, this is complete speculation on my part, is I say yes. I think that he knew she was getting home. I think that he was going to try and, end it, whatever. And I think he had already made that decision. That's my thinking. That's my speculation. And the reason why I say that is just based upon, he's a terrible, terrible criminal. He did not put a whole lot of thought into this at all, of how he was going to do it. It just is really, really sad. And so I think that it's, I think he did it beforehand, and, whether he did it afterwards, it really doesn't matter. The reality of it, he strangled his wife to death. And like I said, I've handled strangulation cases, and they are the definition of after deliberation. It takes 3 to 5 minutes, not for them to pass out, but for them to die. And so you're looking, imagine he had to have been sitting on top of her, standing over her in some way, his hands around the neck. She's struggling. It's probably, you have to assume, for some time. And then at some point, she probably passed out, and he still continues to strangle her, then has to check and see, yep, she's dead. Okay. Then he carries the lifeless body downstairs. Not a whole lot of planning, that's for sure. And the fact that, I'm taking him to my work site, that's just, it doesn't make any sense to me. So, I simply do not know what the order was, but I think probably beforehand. Do you think he's a sociopath? It's possible. A sociopath actually is somebody that can sit there and believe their own BS and think everything's going to be fine. I think he actually maybe believed that it was all going to just work out fine. He is, for whatever reason, the sophistication of this is not very great. It really reminds you of a small child. Did you take the cookie out of the cookie jar? Nope. And literally he's got the cookie crumbs around his face, and they find him in the bedroom. It's not very sophisticated, and that's what that was. Would they ever transfer him to prison in North Carolina? I have no reason to believe that they would ever transfer him at this point. There are some cases whereby he said that, let's see here. There's some cases where they would transfer him. When Mr. Work said he made sure they were alone in death, that truth kicked me in the chest. Yeah. That was a very powerful statement by the district attorney, Mr. Rourke.